In this week just gone, Microsoft spent $26.2 billion on purchasing LinkedIn. If you convert that into Australian dollars, it's about 35 billion of our golden coins. Was it a good deal, and should it have happened? Shara Evans is a futurist and is here on Australia Overnight to have a chat about such things. Hi there, Shara, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, Alan. It's great to be speaking with you and your audience.
Thank you so much. 26.2 billion US is an awful lot of money. Was LinkedIn worth it?
Well, it's a huge amount of money, and it's roughly double the value of the stock trading price the Friday before the deal was done. However, that stock price was low in comparison to 2015. So from a financial perspective alone, it could go back up again. But the real juice is in the potential integration benefits between the two companies, and that's where it could be a really smart move by Microsoft.
Just about everybody I know who is in any form of business, including myself, has a LinkedIn profile. Everybody seems to be there.
Absolutely. It's my number one social media tool. And LinkedIn has 400 million registered users around the world, and about 100 million of them are active, which is also a very high percentage of active users.
It seems to be the way that people are getting jobs these days. I have a couple of friends, one who lives in Canada, another one who lives in Australia, and just recently they have both changed their career paths when they saw a job advertised via LinkedIn, went on board, sent off their CVs, got the phone call, went and had a couple of interviews, and they're moving on with their life as a result of having been part of the LinkedIn program.
It is absolutely huge in the job market, and in fact, the whole recruiting industry is one of the big revenue areas for LinkedIn, and it has a lot of personal benefits for people too, but it's also a vital tool for a lot of salespeople, and just in any kind of business. If you want to meet potential colleagues or customers, or you're about to go to a meeting with someone and you want to find out a bit their background, who they've worked for before, who they're connected to that you might know, let's see what kind of things we might have in common in terms of where we went to school or other interests. It's a fabulous tool.
Indeed. And so now regarding Microsoft and their purchase for those, tens of billions of dollars, how do you think Microsoft will utilize it? Microsoft, of course, is a software company. We all know them for Windows.
Well, that's where they started out, but increasingly they're moving into cloud-based services to business customers. So an example would be that they purchased Skype a couple of years ago, and a lot of people use Skype for free, but there are also Skype for Business tools, and there are subscriptions there. And can you imagine having Skype technology as part of LinkedIn where instead of just sending messages, you're connecting by voice as well? So there's a potential there. Microsoft is also moving its Office into the cloud. So rather than buying software once, they'd like you to have a subscription service. And again, you can imagine that there could be instances where Office could be integrated with LinkedIn and with your calendar system. And imagine that you've got a meeting coming up and you find out the latest news about the people you're meeting with and, other relevant information. And another area that Microsoft has moved into was the whole customer relationship management platform with a company called Dynamics. And there's a very, very strong synergy between that kind of management tool and the huge LinkedIn database of professionals.
Well, when it comes to Microsoft, look, seem to have been around since the beginning of time, don't they, when it comes to anything to do with computers or software. They had the challenge thrown down to them, or the gauntlet thrown down, if you like, by Apple, and Apple has surged forward. Microsoft seems to be like the second rung of these days. So competitively, does taking on LinkedIn make them more competitive against, say, Apple?
Well, Apple's heading in a slightly different direction there. They're going very big into some of the consumer technologies and wearables, and they're even playing around in the driverless car industry.
Yes.
So far, Apple has not taken on trying to acquire any of the social media giants. Of course, iTunes is massive. It's changed the way the content industry works, and the entertainment industry and the music industry. So they're making their moves in slightly different areas. And, of course, there's the whole integration of iOS devices with the Mac OS devices and Apple Watch and Apple TV. And I can see them getting very much into home automation, and they're getting into health as well. So they've got a couple of dedicated Apple apps that are addressing those two markets. And you can imagine that Apple, given its TV devices and other iOS gadgets in the house, imagine you've got a smart fridge that's part of this whole Apple ecosystem. And, that fridge might be in an office instead of a house. So I can see them getting into a slightly different area.
I'm terrified. I'm totally terrified. Shara, tell me, just with the takeover of LinkedIn by Microsoft, I had a look at who owns what. Is there a danger in the future we'll have Google, Facebook, Apple and Microsoft owning everything to do that has anything to do with our lives?
I suppose there's a danger of that, but there are always new startups. If you think back 15 years ago or so, Facebook wasn't even invented. So there could be something that's really disruptive that isn't invented yet. But Ellen, you're right. There is a very large concentration of power, if I can use that term, in fewer and fewer hands that are controlling the things that we not only see in terms of content, but the kind of information that gets thrown out to us, and increasingly devices that we just don't carry in our handbags or our pockets that we'll be wearing on our bodies, and in the not-too-distant future, even ingesting in our bodies or implanting in our bodies.
Shara Evans is a futurist. Now, I want you to look into the future for me, Shara. In your view, what's the next big thing? Because I have no idea.
Oh, look, in terms of this deal, I think there's an interesting potential to integrate Microsoft's artificial intelligence digital assistant called Cortana into this whole process, where you start to have an AI advising you.
Sorry, what's an AI?
Artificial intelligence.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yes, sorry.
Software,
yes, sorry.
An AI
yes,
agent.
Yes, yeah.
Looking at your calendar and LinkedIn's databases and all kinds of other information that's out there in the public domain, and seamlessly behind the scenes putting things together for you. Artificial intelligence in general is a very, very big element that will impact our future. And separate to this deal, robotics is also very, very important, and artificial intelligence fits in with that. And then there are technologies like 3D printing that are going to disrupt a lot of industries like freight and logistics, and even mass customization, the whole retail shopping experience. There are technologies like augmented and virtual reality that will change the way we interact with the world around us, first with smart glasses and then eventually with smart contacts. The world is going to change very, very quickly over the coming 5 to 10, 15 years.
It seems to be galloping. I was in the US last year and in San Diego and at a dinner one night, I met a young fellow. We were talking about 3D printing, and I said, look, I don't know what it's about. I don't understand. He said, well, look, I'm coming back to this place for dinner again in a couple of nights. He said, maybe I'll make you something. So he made me an ear.
Oh, that's hysterical. Well, that's called bioprinting.
Yeah.
And what they're doing there is they're using biological materials in the printer.
Yeah.
And there's a company in the U.S. called Organovo that's one of the pioneers in this area. And they are 3D printing liver tissue that is of such high quality that it's been approved by the U.S. FDA for use in trials of liver drugs.
It's the way to go. So someone said the best thing to be investing your money in right now, if you can if you can stand the test of time, is health research.
Oh, there's so much happening there. There's some really cool companies that are developing technology that even allows you to have a portable scanner or spectrometer that you wave over a plate of food and it can tell you the nutrient ingredients in something you're about to eat.
What can I say? I'm terrified of the future, I think. But then I suppose I should stop being frightened of it, because it's a case of it's going to happen no matter what.
Well, the thing that sometimes frightens me, Alan, is the fact that security and privacy and ethics are an afterthought in so many of these technologies. And with all the hacking and abuse that's already happening and has been happening for decades, it makes no sense as to why products are still being put on the market without even basic security like a PIN or a password. And it happens all the time. And frankly, if we don't start paying attention to that, we'll end up with living in a future that we don't want to live in.
Yeah, we've got to be very cautious about it indeed. Shara Evans is a futurist and has joined us on Australia Overnight. Shara, I'm guessing you have a website folks can go to and have a look at the things that you're interested in?
Most certainly. My company name is called Market Clarity, and I have a website, www.marketclarity.com.au, and I have a future tech blog where I feature innovators from all over the world on a whole range of emerging technologies.
Fantastic. Sounds like a great site to go and have a look at. Shara Evans, been terrific talking with you on the radio this morning. Our best wishes to you, and maybe sometime in the future we'll have something else to talk about.
Alan, thank you so much for having me on your show, and I'd be delighted to speak with you again.
Thanks again, Shara. Bye now.
Bye.